With the Batman Arkham series kind of being in limbo right now, there's not really a whole lot going on. No sort of news as to new future release dates, at least not to my knowledge, on a new Batman Arkham game or even a Batman game in general. Today I wanted to talk what is next for the Batman Arkham universe, because as I mentioned, it's kind of in limbo right now. It's kind of a bit dead. There's not really a whole lot to talk about. There's nothing new to talk about. Everything to say has already been said in the last 10 years since Batman Arkham Knight came out, and in the last 16 years since Batman Arkham Asylum came out, with the whole franchise coming out in between 2009 and 2015. After a while, you kind of run out of stuff to talk about. So I wanted to pose the question today, what is next for the Batman Arkham franchise? Because I think there's a few different possibilities that you can go down here. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe for more content, and let's get into the video. The first point I do want to bring up in this video is with the fact that Kevin Conroy has passed away, may he rest in peace. It kind of leaves a lot of uncertainty in the Batman Arkham franchise, particularly when you talk about the actual future, if you were to continue the story after the events of Batman Arkham Knight, and if you really wanted to continue the story after the events of Suicide Squad. To me personally, I just don't have a lot of interest in it. That and Mark Hamill has officially retired as the voice of the Joker, so I don't think there's a point in making a story set in the events after Batman Arkham Knight. Just because with the two main voices gone, even though, Joker is dead, and in Batman Arkham Knight, he's been pushed back in Batman's mind, whatever, I still think there is no point in doing a game that takes place after the events of Batman Arkham Knight. I just don't see a point to it, personally. But if you were to do one that takes place after the events of Batman Arkham Origins, after the events of Batman Arkham Shadow, you can get Troy Baker and Roger Craig Smith if you want to do a little Batman Joker thing again, or even just Roger Craig Smith to do a Batman role once again. I think that people could absolutely get on board with that because he does a very good young Batman, because that's what we needed in particular. The voice of like an older veteran Batman, yeah, that belongs to Kevin Conroy, but someone who's a bit more inexperienced in the role of Batman, and as just someone who's younger and does a really good young Batman, I think Roger Craig Smith's perfect for it. So I think if you were going to make another game, you would definitely want to cast Roger Craig Smith once again, have it take place after the events of Batman Arkham Shadow. But I also think that if you're going to make another Batman Arkham game, we need Rocksteady to make this one, and we need Rocksteady to deliver on this one, right? Suicide Squad kind of failed, and it wasn't necessarily due to the graphics or anything like that. It was more so due to a very, very boring story and very repetitive gameplay. And I think that Rocksteady needs to kind of bounce back after that and make something with a lot of meaning behind it. Make a new Batman Arkham game of some sort, because not a lot of people got to play Batman Arkham Shadow, right? I mean, I had to buy a whole new VR just to be able to play the game, and it was a very good game. Don't get that mistaken. That was probably the best VR game I have ever played. It was an amazing experience from start to finish. I enjoyed every minute of it. However, not a lot of people have the money or can afford the luxury to just buy a new console to buy a new game. This really should have been on the MetaQuest 2, because I do believe a lot more people have that console, and compared to the brand new MetaQuest 3 that was just coming out at the time of that game. But that's a completely separate issue. That is what it is. But what I am going to say is the next Batman Arkham game cannot be on the VR. It cannot be on the VR for a multitude of different reasons, right? One, you can create a more open world with side missions on a console, but people have an Xbox, a PlayStation, a PC. People don't have a VR headset. You're gonna, open it up to a whole world and a whole niche of people who have regular playing consoles, as well as if you were to make a new Batman Arkham game on consoles today, you can reach a whole new niche of people because of the fact that Batman Arkham Asylum came out 16 years ago, like I mentioned at the start. The last Batman Arkham game that came out 10 years ago. So now we are on to the next generation of young kids in gaming today. And I think if they were to make a new Batman Arkham game, that it would potentially open up brand new eyes to this amazing franchise that we see. Now, I know I said in the past I don't want a new Batman Arkham game. I want to leave the past in the past, but I kind of want to clarify something a little bit. I wouldn't mind seeing one where it's Roger Craig Smith kind of playing around the events of Batman Arkham Origins. What I don't want is for us to find a new voice actor for Batman to play the role after the events of Batman Arkham Knight and Suicide Squad and all that. I don't want any of that. There's no Joker, which is kind of the selling point for these games. Without the Joker, I don't think these games would do as well when it comes to the overall sales. But not even just that, I just think Kevin Conroy's passed on. Let him have this one thing. You can do before the events of Batman Arkham Asylum all you want. Absolutely, go at it, go nuts. But I think anything after that, I think it's a bit disrespectful to him. But there is a lot of wiggle room in between the events of Origins and Asylum to work with, and we could make a multitude of different games, or we could even start a new franchise entirely. But let's stick on Batman Arkham for now. If you were to ask me, I think a new console, I want to repeat this, console Batman Arkham game right now would do very banging numbers in this day and age for a couple of different reasons. And the first one being, this could just be me, it could just be in my own head, or it could just be that I'm getting older now, but I think it has something to do with the fact that games are just not as good as what they used to be. And I think that with games like GTA 6 getting delayed, or the fact that we're not really getting any sort of good solid story mode games, right? It's all games that are either super woke or they're all about the money. And I think that the Batman Arkham universe hasn't really been just about those things. Yes, they've had DLC and stuff, but the actual story modes themselves are generally at least somewhat good, or at the very least they're coherent. Regardless of whether or not you like certain Batman Arkham games, certain Arkham stories for whatever reason, at least they're somewhat coherent and don't necessarily just make no sense whatsoever. And I think that right now, with the lack of good story mode games that we've been getting in the past few years, and the lack of good detail in said games, I think a Batman Arkham game would actually sweep everybody off their feet. Everybody would be so happy to finally get something with a good attention to detail. Because when it comes to the gameplay, we've never had a bad Batman Arkham game. Even when it comes to the stories and the DLCs and everything that comes with it, I don't want to say that we've had a bad one yet. Yes, Batman Arkham Knight didn't have the best story, but it wasn't absolutely awful to the point where I just straight up couldn't play it. It was a very, very mid-story, but it had very, very elite-level gameplay at least to sort of compensate for the difference. Now, with all this being said, I do think that in a new Batman Arkham game, I've told you guys this before, in a new Arkham game, it's very easy to pick out a new main villain. Because there is one guy that we haven't seen yet, we've never seen in video games, he's never been in a movie, he's only ever been in the comic books, and that is Prometheus, right? You have a very solid main antagonist that's never been seen before in a video game, and it could be a really good selling point to say, he is Batman, but the complete opposite, right? His parents were killed by police officers. He grew up wanting to be a criminal and basically kill every single cop because of what the cops did to his parents. And it's the exact opposite of Batman, right? Having his parents killed by a criminal in an alleyway, and Batman wanting to stop criminals. It's the exact opposite, and those two forces colliding could actually make a really good story. And I think that that's something that people overlook, because not a lot of people know who Prometheus is, right? Most Batman fans are going to be the casual Batman fans who only watch movies and play games. Kind of like me. I'm not really a big comic book guy, but I've seen some Batman movies, I've played the Batman games, and I've never read anything about Prometheus, but I do know some of the basics about him, and I even think that that would be an amazing character. So there's no lack of gameplay, there's no lack of, main antagonists to go with, and I think right now, in a time where gaming absolutely sucks, it could be an absolute banger to get a new console game made by Rocksteady, because they really need to bounce back, on Batman, in the Batman Arkham franchise, on consoles. So with all this being said, where does the Batman Arkham franchise go from here? Well, I think the formula is pretty simple. If Rocksteady or even WB were to announce a new Batman Arkham game in the works, I think it could take the gaming world by storm, considering, like I said before, just the lack of good games that's coming out right now. GTA 6 is getting delayed, and my controversial opinion on that is that I just don't care about GTA 6 anymore. It's not worth the hype. It's not worth nothing to me at this point. I don't care about that. But what I do want to see is a really, really good Batman Arkham game. I think that that is exactly what gaming needs right now. A good superhero game that's kind of been missing over the last little while. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Would you guys like to see a new Batman Arkham game? Or what kind of game would you guys like to see come out in order to save gaming? Because in my opinion, gaming just sucks right now. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys later. Peace!